family conflicts, women and children suffer the most. In terms of psychological trauma, men are usually killed. Women are usually used by the different warring factions and abused, and as such they suffer a lot psychologically.
A lot of times when you have a physical wound, you see that thing. It might have dirt in it, it might have glass in it, it might have rocks or metal. And one of the ways we assist these people is by helping dig out that foreign object from within the wound, helping them clean the wound, and then the wound can begin to heal. Now we all know that once a wound heals, it doesn't cause pain anymore, but you can still see that it was there. And I think it's a good analogy for what happens psychologically, because if a wound is well treated and those foreign objects are dug out so the wound can heal very nicely, and from a psychological perspective, the woman is likely to come to a point where she's not any longer in deep pain, though there is likely to be some sort of a scar remaining.
Situations of armed conflict in post-independent Uganda started in 1966 and have since always started again. The Luweero Bush War of 1981 to 1986, the Northern Uganda 14-year-old LRA insurgency, and Western Uganda's ADF rebel activity are leaving adverse traumatic effects. Multiple gang rapes, sexual slavery, abductions, forced incest.
There is a lot of damage which is done on women in many terms. We should say health-wise, we should say psychologically, we should say mentally.
The rape of women in war situations goes beyond what is normally conceivable in society. It may take on the form of gang rape, a woman being raped up to about 10 or 15 men at the same time, only to happen again at another time.
We were locked up in a store and continuously raped for 3 days. The first man tried to penetrate me but failed. 2 men held my legs apart. The third man then cut me using a bayonet. I was tied with a rope, cut using a broken bottle, and then raped.
The women sometimes are tortured by being forced to witness the rape of others in their presence, and this could be their children, or their children being forced to witness them, and therefore giving them total dehumanizing effects.
They gang raped me in broad daylight as my children watched. At times, the children tried to run off, but were forcefully gathered around to witness.
The devastating impact of small arms like the landmines are manifested by the common feature of joined pieces of plastic and metal for limbs. This condition has traumatized very many women and girls, especially in northern Uganda. Cruel forms of torture, such as burning people alive and mutilations, have also overwhelmed these very simple people.
Looking and working with women post-war has showed us a lot of things in terms of gynecological, including the rest of reproductive health.
We were able to see a lot of injuries, genital injuries, amongst the women, and these included tears in the birth canal, tears in in the urinary system.
In most circumstances, the psychological suffering of the women continues on and usually does not tend to get addressed. Physically, they may go to clinic and their fractures or cut wounds may be amended and the sexually transmitted disease will be treated. But if they have gone on to chronicity, they may cause things like infertility, which will cause further psychological damage to the woman. Society may stigmatize them and they may not be able to get married again because of what they went through, say, after rapes. Of course, a rape can also give you things like AIDS, and that is a fatal condition.
After the store gang rape, Devota was again gang raped by 21 men. She was infected with the HIV/AIDS and died in July 1999.
The impact after a long time is actually repairable in such a way that somebody may get infection, the tubes of the uterus get blocked, so this particular individual will not be able to have babies after that. That is repairable as far as Uganda is concerned. We don't have the facilities to take care of those kind of people. Others live with the chronic abdominal pain all their lives from then on. That is irreparable because you may not be able to make good what has actually happened.
After the multiple gang rapes, I started experiencing severe abdominal pains and swelling. Since then, my vagina drips with pus, and yet I cannot afford any treatment.
We saw a lot of cancers, especially over the cervix. Now, either the cancers were to develop anyway, but the fact that they were in a war situation and these individuals couldn't reach health facilities, we did find that the diseases were so advanced, and therefore, it was like you can't operate anymore.
Now, the psychological problem, like post-traumatic stress disorder, can impair one considerably. They may not be able to work, they may not be able to relate to others, they may feel constantly depressed, and they'll have phobias, they'll have no drive, they'll be having nightmares all the time, panic attacks, avoidances, and these ones interfere with their ability to look after their family or to even socioeconomically cater for themselves.
I am always having nightmares of soldiers with machetes chasing me, wanting to hurt me.
They need us to contribute in the killing of these girls. They didn't want to waste their bullets, so that was something which I really killing a cat.
I wish it had killed me. My life is now useless. I often feel a strange heat in my body which starts from my head downward, and the smell of the blast always comes back.
Women are taught to trust people. Particularly in our African society, women are taught, and children in general are taught to trust elders. And when the perpetrators of the violence in the wartime situation are those who should have been trustworthy, the damage goes even more deep.
During armed conflict, there are no services. All the services are disturbed. People are on the run. So you do find that during that time, women who are pregnant continue with their pregnancies without being taken care of. They will deliver without being taken care of. And delivery without being taken care of has a lot of implications. The women do get tears. Women do fail to deliver. We always talk about doing cesarean sections, and we do those every day. So even during that time, you do find that people who are in hiding, they are running, they fail to deliver. So what happens to them? They either die. If they don't die, then they end up with what we call fistula, where the baby dies inside. After a long, long time, this baby will drop out. But what remains behind is that the mother can no longer control her urine. Maybe she can't also control her stool. So she leaks all the time. And as we worked with these women, we did find that that was a major problem. And a woman who is leaking her urine, who is leaking all the time, she's an outcast. So she's mentally, physiologically, psychologically damaged.
The social problems of loss of family, loss of income, lack of adequate resources do impinge on women, and that's why poverty tends to be very high.
Men were also very badly affected, just like women. I mean, they were made to do things in their lives they had never dreamed of doing. Sleeping with their daughters-in-law, with their children, and so on. So mentally, they just became vital.
We have almost a whole generation of women now who have experienced the horrors of seeing loved ones killed before their eyes, of being raped, of being through unmentionable horrors. And those are things that affect individuals to such an extent that it also ends up affecting society at large.
Peace has become only a moment's experience. The guns rage on again with fresh promises from the warring factions of better socio-economic returns. But to what extent are the people's physical and psychological needs fulfilled?
Quantitatively, I would say very minimal. Qualitatively, not much has been done. A lot that has happened is to leave it to families to cater for themselves and for individuals to gather up their resources.
Recently in Luweero district, a short-term intervention was organized by WICCE in conjunction with the Association of Gynecologists and Psychologists. A scientific analysis of the impact of war on the health of women was carried out.
We sensitized the people about this, told them to come in. Those who had a problem really come and be seen by the doctors. And we offered them some treatment, we offered surgery. But I think, I don't still think that we went the whole way to cover the whole district and all the people who were affected. And others perhaps couldn't reach us because they didn't know or they didn't have the money, although the services were actually free.
To a large extent, this has not been done in this country. And women in traumatized situations have not really been addressed, even men, in terms of psychological treatment.
Somebody needs to probably the government into recognizing that these are special problems suffered by war areas.
It is my firm belief that we should start psychotraumatic treatment centers in areas of armed conflict. It is important to put up a referral system if the primary healthcare providers cannot manage this thing. It is very important to try to make the treatment accessible to these people in the rural areas where they live, either by way of mobile clinics going there, and also training the local health care providers to put the treatment of tortured victims in primary health care.
These health and psychological supports have not been part and parcel of the rehabilitation. So I feel very strongly that as we think about rehabilitation after armed conflict, this should be worked out as a nice package to ensure that all aspects of those individuals is actually taken care of.
Prevention, peace building, peace practice, conflict resolution, good governance, democracy, respect for human rights universally is very important. And I feel that in our school curricula and in all our academic institutions, including our law enforcement institutions, both in training and the already established ones, we should have human rights education. And we should put, as we have already put in the Constitution, method of protecting people against human rights abuses by prosecuting all those who violate them.